All right, our next guy here, we're going to go clear back to the '83 season. If you, that means we're going to go back to Coach Brad Pold. When I came to USF in '83, Brad was a young boy. He was coaching with an old guy by the name of, what was that guy's name? Earl Craven. Had to think about it there, but anyway, but Brad, he was coaching my defensive backs the first year while Earl was still there, and then he took over as defensive coordinator. And really, as I look back on it, he was my first college assistant. So I learned a lot in the college ranks because Brad had already been there for a while, and over the years, I certainly owe him a lot of thanks because he was a kind of the right guy at the right time. He always served kind of as a spiritual inspiration to me and a special friend over the years. And now that he's recently retired, it's hard to believe that he's gotten that old from that young boy when I first came to USF. But anyway, Brad, we're looking forward to a few comments here from you.
Yeah, thanks, Bob, so much. It was fun listening to John Anderson talk about getting there in 2002 and not having much. And I'd been there 20 years before him. And boy, over 20 years didn't change much, I guess, because things were thin too back in the very beginning. And when you came in, you helped us. You helped turn the program around. You helped turn the program into a winning situation. And it was, I still look back over the 40 years of coaching and say that those years at USF were, they were treasures. They were, probably the best. There was just, it was raw and it was just us and it was a neat time. So I really do appreciate you, Bob, and everything you've been in terms of a friend over the years. And it's fun to see all these faces on here. A lot of guys here that I recruited, a lot of guys here I coached and have known through the ranks over the years. So this is really it's a blessing. But you asked me to say something about, faith in football and what that meant. And, I think I thought a long time ago that sharing your faith had a lot to do with relationships. And whether it was your kids or whether it was, friends or anybody, if you didn't have a relationship with a man, it was pretty hard for you to have any kind of impact in terms of sharing your faith. And football to me it was all about relationships. I mean, you win because you build good relationships with your players, and you have good relationships on a staff, and there's cohesiveness, and so valuable, so important. They say a man can't step in the same river twice, because he's not the same man, nor is it the same river. And it's the same true for the saint. A saint every day, grows one step closer to God. And he's not the same guy taking the same steps down the same path today as he did yesterday. So we all know the difference between, the plebe at West Point and the second lieutenant. We know the difference between the rookie, and the senior leader. And we know the difference between, the journeyman and the apprentice. And, you look at over time and what happens to the rookie, but the weight room changes him, right? And his body armor, he becomes a warrior. Look what happens to the plebe, the duty and discipline and drill over time, create in him, they create a leader in him. And you look at the journeyman and practice makes the skill of his, whether it's, wielding a sword like a saint, or whether it's, a guy playing, a running back or linebacker or anything else, that all improves over time. So what is different about a football player? Isn't there similarities about how you grow and how you mature? I mean, society has come to think that becoming a Christian is a stagnant paradigm. It's an old, it's an old tradition. We read an old book, we have old rules, and we teach young men to become old men, at a young age. And that's a stagnant view. I mean, if you look at just what Christ had to say about, I have come to give them life to the full, right? Saint Irenaeus said, the glory of God is man fully alive. And in church, we say, we ask God not to look upon our sins, but on the faith of his church. I mean, isn't that talking about adventure and challenges and teamwork? I mean, people that hold on to that old view of Christianity, you know, they're uninformed. You know, they don't know that the life of a Christian is dynamic. They don't know that the life of a Christian is about strength and about adventure. And it's also about teamwork. And everybody, let me just ask you this simple question, okay? Who wants to be a part of a football team that is internally excited for the season? Who wants to be a part of a football team that's coached by a bunch of men filled with hope for each player's success and expectations? Who doesn't want to be a part of a football team that continually wins? John was talking about, you know, Chuck was talking about 25, 26 years of success at USF, unprecedented. Okay, who doesn't want to be a part of something like that? Okay, so I think it's very much true to say that everybody who coached the game that had a faith and wanted to share their faith with their players like you did, Bob, had a really deep feeling down inside that you were passing on to them some skills that they would be able to take and use those skills after they got done playing and see how duty and honor and discipline and teamwork and learning how to do with a little bit less, all those things transferred into their faith life and could transfer into their faith life. And I really believe that that was something that you really tried to instill in, at least I know you did in me. And it sure sounds like you tried to instill that in everybody that came after me. And I know that's something that I'll always carry, that, you know, you really gave me an example of what it was to be a coach who loved his faith and wanted to share that with the people that he worked with. So those are my words. Thanks for listening to me. Thank you, Bob. And most of all, thank all the guys here that have been a part of it for all this time. It's been, it was a wonderful experience. Thanks.